Every year my family ignores my birthday. So this year, I did something epic at 40, it was the last weekend of July, and the familiar pit in my stomach churned with anticipation. Another year passed, and here I was alone in a living room adorned with balloons, matching plates, and the smell of a cake I made. Birthdays were supposed to be fun, right? Well, for me, they were an eerie reminder of how invisible I felt. Each year, like clockwork, my family completely forgot my birthday. My sister's birthdays, though, were extravagant affairs, over-the-top decorations, surprise parties, the whole shebang. But me? Just another quiet day. The irony hit hard. My heart pounded as I watched people flick through photos on their phones, laughing aloud and celebrating the mundane. And there I sat, staring at the untouched cake, feeling my chest tighten. It was as if my existence was a mere whisper in the back of their minds, drowned out by the laughter of my extended family. I needed something big, something that would shake things up. Days passed, and ideas swirled in my mind. What if I threw the most outrageous, unforgettable birthday party? A celebration bursting with surprises. Not just for me, but for everyone. Something they couldn't ignore. I envisioned it, colorful lights, a dance floor, a DJ, maybe even karaoke. A joyous uproar meant to draw them in, for once. The thought electrified me, a surge running through my veins. They'd finally remember me. I would go down in history as the one who threw the party of the century. But the clock was ticking. Time to put my plan into action. I reached out to my few close friends who immediately rallied behind me. There was excitement in their voices, maybe even pity. I chuckled nervously. Would I finally get the attention I craved? Could I transform this forgotten day into something truly magnificent? The weight lifted, yet shadows loomed in the back of my mind. Would my family even show up? Would they still manage to forget me? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With newfound hope surging within me, I scrutinized every detail. What color theme? How about an enormous cake that could literally be seen from space? The planning became consuming, exciting, and terrifying. Could this year really be different? Flashes of my sisters in different faces replayed in my head, fueling my determination. Then, just 2 days before the big showdown, a chilling message popped onto my phone. It was from my sister, asking about what time the party started. My heart raced. Was she actually going to show? Or was this just the thin edge of the knife, a joke in the making? Was she setting me up for another letdown? Could I bear the thought? Everything was in motion, and yet a storm brewed over my excitement. My palms sweat, fingers trembling. In a split second, could my lifelong birthday nightmare turn into the epic moment of my desires? The questions circled like vultures. I took a deep breath and prepared. This was my moment. They could no longer ignore me, could they? The day arrived with a bang, colors bursting through the windows like fireworks. Excitement coursed through me, though a nagging doubt clung to my mind. I refused to let it win. Maybe today was the day I'd break through the walls they'd built around me. As I transformed the ordinary living room into a kaleidoscope of brilliance, laughter from my friends punctuated the air. They arrived armed with party hats and contagious energy, ready to dive into the chaos of my wild birthday bash. The giant cake was a marvel, glowing with the fiery flicker of candles, demanding to be celebrated. But as joyous moments unfolded, part of me still expected the familiar silence from my family. I couldn't shake the feeling of abandonment that had become a part of my existence. They'd always treated my birthday like an unwelcome stranger. Would they really come today? Every tick of the clock screamed anticipation. I set up games, a photo booth, and even a DIY cocktail station. The music thumped a relentless beat, it felt like a surge of adrenaline. And then came the moment I couldn't wait for. My sister's family would arrive any minute, and I was determined to make sure they felt the urgency of my presence in their lives. When the doorbell rang, my heart leaped. Friends laughingly nudged me, urging me to hurry. I made my way to the entrance with bated breath. I opened the door, bracing myself, and there they were, my sister, brother-in-law, and their kids. A wave of disbelief washed over me. They actually showed up. The smile that split my face felt genuine and wild. "Welcome to the party." My voice almost cracked with emotion. For a moment, they stood awkwardly, glancing past me into the vibrant chaos, the balloons, laughter, and my radiant cake, all demanding to be acknowledged. But there it was again, that creeping doubt. Was this a setup? Were they there to gloat in my extravagant disaster? My pulse quickened, and my grip tightened on the doorframe. Guess who finally remembered? My sister said, but her words fell flat as her eyes darted around, sizing up her surroundings. I swallowed hard, sensing the ridicule simmering beneath the surface. "Glad you could make it," I said, forcing a brightness that didn't quite match the tightness in my chest. As we moved into the crowded room, the atmosphere shifted. Their initial hesitance began melting away as my friends clustered around. Laughter erupted. The DJ cranked up the energy, and soon, my family was pulled into the dance floor. For the first time, I witnessed them laughing, really laughing, with my friends. It was happening. The epic party I envisioned was alive, and maybe, just maybe, they'd remember me beyond today. But as moments unfurled, a phone notification buzzed in my pocket, jolting me from my euphoria. Fumbling, I pulled it out to see a group message from my siblings, filled with snickering emojis. Couldn't believe she actually threw a party. LOL. Glimmers of joy shattered, replaced by an icy dread. Anger bubbled beneath my skin. I turned to find my sister whispering to her husband, her eyes darting my way, amusement lighting her features. Everything began to crumble. Was this celebration just another cruel joke? The music blurred, laughter faded, and the walls felt closer as I wrestled with the very real possibility that nothing had changed. Not one thing. How far would I go to make them see me? My heart drummed in my ears as I locked eyes with my sister. Was there still time to turn the tide? Or was this party destined to become another chapter in a story of invisibility? A rising storm of emotions churned within me. The night was far from over, and secrets were about to unfold that could change everything. The music pulsed around me like a living entity, weaving through the laughter and chatter, but all I felt was a suffocating void. I forced myself to smile, but it felt like a mask slipping. My friends were dancing, lost in the rhythm, while I was pulled into an emotional crossfire. Cast aside and exposed, it was now or never. Gathering my courage, I slipped away from the crowd, my heart pounding like a war drum. I knew I had to confront my sister, to force a dialogue. Her unbothered laughter echoed in my ears as I moved through the throng of revelers. No more hiding or shrinking back into the shadows. Today was meant for festivity, not ridiculed. I found her near the refreshment table, chatting animatedly with her husband. Their laughter clashed with the discontent swirling inside me. Summoning my voice, I called out, "Can we talk?" The playful grin faded from her face, replaced by a curious frown. She excused herself, her expression shifting to one of irritation. "What is it?" she snapped, the tension thick between us. The fiery resentment spilled over. "Why do you and the family always treat my birthday like it's a joke? Do you think it's funny?" A flicker of surprise crossed her face. "It's not like that," she stammered, avoiding my gaze. "Then what's it like? You come in for 1 minute, throw shade, and leave me feeling like nothing. Do you even know how it feels to be ignored like this?" In that moment, I saw the subtle shift in her expression. Her defenses rose, like walls fortifying in expectation of a battle. "You make it so easy. Everything you do is a huge spectacle. Maybe if you chilled out a bit." "Chilled out?" I echoed, incredulous. "This is my life we're talking about. You think throwing a party is a spectacle? It's me reaching out, trying to connect and be part of something real." Her eyes narrowed, irritation giving way to something darker. Maybe you ought to focus on yourself more than always needing us to validate you. Those words hit harder than any physical blow. I reeled, feeling the tears prick at my eyes. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was an unraveling of years of pent-up emotions, insecurities, and pain I had buried deep. Great, so now I'm needy, I responded, my voice trembling. I just want my family to show up. Is that so much to ask? The dissatisfaction ricocheted in the air, a tangible entity. Others watched the scene unfold. Whispered comments danced around us, their eyes darting between my reaction and my sister's cold facade. Maybe if you acted more normal, we'd show up more. But we can't keep rescuing you from your drama. My sister's voice dripped with that cloying tone of condescension. Salty tears rolled down my cheeks unbidden. I didn't want pity, but this stung. You think I'm dramatic? You don't really know me at all, I said, barely holding it together. The once vibrant celebration felt muted, shadows creeping into the celebration's core. I turned away from her, heart racing, a cocktail of indignation and heartbreak churning in my gut. As I stalked out of the room, embarrassment and sorrow mixed into a heavy ache in my chest. Outside, the cool air cut through the haze of my emotions. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what I'd just exposed. But that fire, that anger had ignited a thought. If I couldn't get my family to see me, perhaps it was time to take drastic action. Maybe I wouldn't wait for them anymore. Maybe it was time to unleash the true version of myself they had never embraced. Shaking my head, I whispered to myself, it ends tonight. I pulled out my phone and typed a message that could turn the tides, one that would demand recognition. Just as I hit send, the door swung open behind me. My brother stepped out, brow furrowed, concern etched into his features. Hey, what's going on? His voice was gentle but edged with caution. Before I could respond, another part of myself screamed that the reunion wasn't over, far from it. Because little did I know, the message I'd sent had consequences I couldn't even begin to imagine. What lay ahead would make this night infamous. Just wait and see, I thought, my heart racing anew as my brother stepped closer, the shadows growing heavier with every passing second. What had I unwittingly stirred up in the depths of my family's secret past? The air around me crackled with tension as my brother's expression flickered, confusion battling concern in his eyes. The pulsating noise of the party behind us faded, replaced by the drumming of my heart echoing in my ears. I felt raw, exposed, like a live wire, the energy coursing through me a mixture of dread and anticipation. What did you send? He asked, his voice tight. The question hung between us, unbearable and weighty, carrying the weight of our family's history and unspoken battles. I didn't mean to, it was just I faltered, struggling to gather the right words. My mind raced back to the message I had just unleashed into the world. If you think I'm a joke, wait until you see what I'm about to do. Silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable. My brother stepped back, the air cooler now. You know how they are. You can't just expect a text to change everything. Why not? I shot back, the fire reigniting within me. They've treated me like a nobody for years, and I'm supposed to keep playing the role? No more. The anger was a beacon now, illuminating all the hidden grievances I'd locked away. Look, I understand you're upset, but your message could make things worse, he said, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting someone to emerge from the shadows of our family's history. I waved a hand dismissively. You think I care? Maybe it's time to let the world see me for once, see who I really am beneath the layers of laughter they dismiss. My voice rose with each word, spilling over like a cascade I couldn't control. From behind him, I caught sight of a familiar figure stepping out of the party. My sister reappeared, her smug expression faltering when she noticed our exchange. What is going on out here? She demanded, the authority lacing her tone. Just discussing how you treat me like I'm invisible, I shot back, the venom in my words betraying the hurt I worked so hard to mask. I'm done being the punchline in your jokes. My sister's lips tightened, a flash of defensiveness flickering in her eyes. That's a bit melodramatic, don't you think? It's just family banter. You take everything too seriously. See? I gestured wildly, desperation clawing at my throat. That's the problem. You don't see me at all. You only see what you want. The three of us stood in an unyielding triangle. The crowd's noise faded, leaving a world of empty space around us, filled only with the tension of broken connections and unexpressed feelings. But then, something shifted, the shadows of the past swirling into something more tangible. My phone buzzed violently in my pocket, tearing through my focus. Just a couple seconds later, my heart dropped as I fished it out. My sister stepped closer, an intrigued frown on her face. Her eyes darted between mine and the screen, her curiosity battling with annoyance. Who are you messaging? Are you dragging everyone into this? I held it up, revealing the screen, and whispered, "It doesn't matter. Just know I'm done being invisible." As I pressed send on another message, a wave of feigned calm washed over me, as if I'd cast a spell that would finally demand their attention. The act felt liberating, yet beneath the surface, a ripple of uncertainty bubbled over. In that moment, decision solidifying, a cold realization gripped me: words could unleash secrets, could fracture bonds beyond repair. The connections I yearned for were tied to a tangled web of family history, and I wondered if I'd just unintentionally torn it all apart. As I looked back up at my brother and sister, a deep breath drawn into my very soul, I knew one thing for sure: whatever came next, there was no turning back. The question thrummed in the air: what had I really awakened in my family? And in that suffocating moment, I sensed the storm brewing on the horizon, rolling in with the promise of chaos. Would I be ready to face whatever dark and twisted revelations awaited? The seconds stretched like rubber, the moment heavy with unspoken words. My heart thudded loudly, drowning out the muffled laughter from inside the party. I couldn't shake off the feeling that by sending that message, I'd ignited the fuse of something explosive. My brother glanced at my sister, his lips pressed into a thin line. "You don't realize the stakes, do you?" he said quietly, but the tension in his voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "This isn't just about you. It's about all of us." "Maybe that's the problem," I shot back, my voice betraying the uncertainty hiding beneath my bravado. "What if it should be about me for once?" I gestured wildly, catching their eyes in a brief moment of connection, almost pleading. Just then, the atmosphere twisted again. My phone vibrated again, its shrill tone slicing through the air like a knife. I glanced down, and my breath caught in my throat. The name on the screen made my blood run cold. It was my cousin, Caleb. He had always reveled in the family drama, and this time, I could feel the weight of his reputation pressing down on me. "What now?" my sister demanded, still too close, and I could feel her irritation radiating like heat waves. "I don't know," I mumbled, but my fingers trembled as I opened the message. It read, "I saw your post. You must know what you've started." There was a subtle threat laced in his words, unmistakable. My heart raced. Had he taken my words and twisted them, turning my battle cry into a call for war? "What does he mean?" My brother's voice had dropped to a whisper. The concern etched across his face mirrored my rising dread. I shot him a panicked look. Our quiet confrontation was quickly morphing into something much larger than I had bargained for. "I can't believe it. He is going to spread it, isn't he?" The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Caleb always had an audience, he thrived on chaos and conflict. "What did you tell him?" I could hear the edge of accusation in my sister's voice. I was teetering on the brink of revealing my fears, wondering if confessing would bring relief or more trouble. "Nothing." I hesitated, each word now feeling like a heavy weight. "I just sent a message saying I'm done being invisible." The silence that followed felt loaded, charged with anticipation and dread. My sister folded her arms, and it felt to me like a fortress surrounding her, protecting her from the storm I had loosed. But behind her defiance, I saw a flicker of something else: fear. Could that posh facade of confidence be cracking? Before I could dive deeper into her mind, the laughter from the party erupted again, and I noticed familiar faces peeking through the door, curiosity piqued by our heated exchange. The air beyond us pulsed and twisted, ready to spill into our tangled mess. With Caleb in the mix, everything could change. Do you think they'll find out? I whispered, the knot in my stomach tightening. The question hung there. My brother and sister exchanged looks, words unspoken swirling like a storm inside them. Then suddenly, my phone buzzed again, this time drawing the attention of the others crowding near the entrance. Is that him? My brother's gaze darted nervously. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of my family's gaze. This was at the moment I had unwittingly created an opening for all of them to witness my journey from the shadows into the light, but at what cost? As I prepared for the worst, it hit me, my family was about to confront the reality of what I had unleashed. They wouldn't just be spectators, they would have a choice to make, and I realized then everything I had hidden was on the brink of exposure, and the stakes had never been higher. I caught a glimpse of Caleb slipping around the edge of the crowd, a predatory grin plastered across his face. Would I finally claim my voice or would it be swept away in the chaos that awaited? My heart pounded in my chest, each beat reverberating like a countdown. The space between us and the party felt like a dark abyss, every second stretching into eternity. I tried to focus, to ground myself, but the images of Caleb's gains danced vividly in my mind. His smirk, the eager eyes of our relatives, ready to devour the drama unfolding. What do? I breathed, barely recognizing my own voice. Panic was creeping in, slowly wrapping around my throat like a vice. I was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to plunge into chaos, and the weight of that realization was almost unbearable. First, calm down. My brother's eyes darted around, as if searching for an escape route. Some resolution flickered behind his concern, but I could see he was just as afraid. Let us not let this spiral out of control. Too late, I hissed, a sharp edge creeping into my words. The moment I hit send, it was over. I'm the one being thrown to the wolves. Was it really only a few hours ago I decided to reclaim my voice? It had felt liberating, a defiance against the years of being overlooked. But now? Those dreams felt like whispers in a brewing storm. I felt the tension simmering behind me, family murmurs gaining volume, the laughter transforming into curious whispers. The weight of their judgment was tangible, like a heavy fog. I couldn't help but glance back. A couple of distant cousins were watching us intently. Their expressions were a mix of amusement and confusion, emotions shifting dangerously like the tide. Are you sure you didn't leave out anything? My sister's voice pierced through my spiraling thoughts, cold and firm. This could ruin everything. What is Caleb going to do? I don't know. I shouted back, frustration bubbling over. He thrives on my failures, my mistakes. That's what he does. Caleb's laughter echoed in my mind, taunting me. It rang louder now as he broke into the crowd, strutting forward like a king stepping into his kingdom. My stomach twisted at the sight. This was it. The minute he opened his mouth, everything would unspool like yarn. Look who we have here. His voice cut through the dim light, sharp and percussive, drawing every eye in the room. The invisible sister has finally shown up to play. Exaggerated gasps followed. My cheeks burned, embarrassment mixing with rising anger. A wave of whispers brushed through the gathering crowd, their intrigue palpable. I felt my heart quicken, the fishbowl perspective swallowing me whole. It was happening, the spotlight was on me, and I felt undeniably naked. I opened my mouth, prepared to protest, to reclaim my narrative, but nothing came out. Caleb's gloating smile widened, relishing the moment of quiet before the storm. Did you think you could just shout out to the world and not expect a response? He approached slowly, confidently, his eyes sparkling with mischief. You've invited all of us into your grand awakening. Isn't that exciting? Every word was a dagger. Each syllable coaxing the gathered crowd's attention further onto me, fueling a fire that had started with just a flicker. The impending chaos felt like a tidal wave building behind me, ready to crash down. I stood frozen in place, clinging to the hope of finally being heard while facing the reality of the consequences. Everything I wanted was about to collapse around me. And then, like a shot of adrenaline, I felt a surge, a glimpse of resolution creeping in. I could rise from this, couldn't I? but at what cost? The ceiling above felt like it was tightening, the pressure was suffocating. In that pivotal moment, a loud crash sounded from within the party, startling everyone. Suddenly, all eyes were drawn away, the collective gasp pulling the focus from me and onto something yet unknown. What was that? My sister whispered, fear shimmering in her eyes. A shiver ran down my spine. The distraction seemed too perfectly timed, a setup worthy of Caleb himself. What had just happened? This was no mere crash, it felt like the prelude to something darker, something that was about to shake the very foundation of our family. With Caleb standing there poised to feast on any turmoil, how much longer could I keep the truth buried? My heart raced. What would I find when I dug deeper? Adrenaline surged through me, a raw mix of dread and disbelief. The crash echoed in my mind, a harbinger of chaos. My gaze darted toward the crowd, now a sea of bewildered faces, eager for spectacle. No longer was I the center of their attention, the crash had pulled the rug out from under me, and I suddenly felt lighter until I realized the gravity of what lay ahead. Caleb's amused expression twisted into a frown, his confident aura wavering for the first time. The laughter that once rang clear in the evening air faded, replaced by a collective apprehension. I could feel the crowd's energy shifting. Curiosity turned to concern as people whispered, eyes darting around for answers. What happened? Someone shouted from the throng, voice cracking in the tumultuous air. My heart raced. Panic was palpable, each beat a drumming reminder of the looming chaos. Maybe you should check. My brother's words were quick and clipped, a hint of urgency woven into his tone. He stepped toward the source of the sound, but I hesitated. My feet felt glued to the ground. Every instinct screamed to stay, to confront Caleb, to seize whatever power I had left. But the growing disquiet in the room was tangible, a dark pulse throbbing louder than my own heartbeat. Before I could think, darkness filled the doorway, and an ominous figure emerged, staggering in like a ghost from the past. It was Aunt Clara, her usually composed demeanor shattered, her eyes wide and wild. The room went deathly silent. What did you do? She gasped, clutching a glass that I recognized all too well, a shattered piece of crystal glittering ominously at her feet. There's been an accident. An accident? My heart dropped. What kind of accident? A car crash, she stammered, looking from me to the crowd with a haunted expression. Your cousin Jason, the murmurs began again, rising, a crescendo of emotions in the air. Every throat in the room tightened collectively. The festive atmosphere evaporated, replaced by fear and concern. Who? What? I had no words, no actions that could pull us back from the edge. A tangled mix of familial obligations and gut-wrenching fear flooded over me. The day I had deemed a turning point was morphing into a nightmare wrapped in bitter irony. I clenched my fists, the reality stinging my palms. Was I allowed to circle back to my own truth, my own voice, when family turmoil threatened to drown it out? Caleb slid closer to me, his earlier smugness replaced with an edge of confusion. What now? He whispered, eyes wide. If there was ever a moment to stand my ground, it was now, yet I felt unmoored. There was no solid footing, no positions to defend. Just shadows closing in. Do we need to go? My brother asked, his voice barely carrying over the noise of the guests shifting restlessly. The energy had transformed into electric tension, gnawing at everyone's nerves. Would we even leave this house intact, or would the chaos unravel everything? Suddenly, a clang echoed through the air, sharper than the murmurs and gasps. Someone had dropped a chair, and the sound was like the snap of a rubber band, pulling my focus back in. I looked into the faces around me, watching helplessness morph into something darker. Enough! I shouted, louder than I'd intended. All eyes jerked back to me, surprise painted across every face. We need to figure out what's going on. But even as I stood there feeling fierce, a nagging doubt crept in. Did I have the right to take control when there was so much horror unfolding? Could I even grasp the wheel of my own narrative when it felt like I was being swept away in a tide of desperation? Every gaze was fixed on me now, and for a fleeting moment I thought I could hold back the encroaching tumult. But dread began to coil in my stomach anew. What if they learned the truth about me, too. The tension thickened in the air, something more than fear, it was desperation, and it was hungry. What hidden secrets lay just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? I felt the ground shift beneath me. This storm was far from over, and as the clouds gathered, I braced for the inevitable downpour. How long before the truth surged forth, and would I be ready when it did? My breath caught in my throat as Aunt Clara's words echoed in the silence. The weight of the moment hung heavy, like the air before a storm. Every pair of eyes now bore into me with unanswered questions and unspoken fears. I fought the urge to crumble. This wasn't just about Jason. Everything I had tucked away was suddenly in danger of spilling out. Jason, he's in trouble, I managed to say, my voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. I felt the crowd shift slightly, some leaning in, others backing away, as if drawn to the chaos but wary of its consequences. Caleb stepped forward, urgency coating his voice. What do you mean? We have to do something. His eyes darted around, looking for an anchor in the storm of confusion. But my gaze remained fixed on Aunt Clara. Her hands shook, and I could see the beginnings of tears tracing paths through the worry on her cheeks. You don't understand, she whispered, gripping the edge of the table. It's serious. You need to come with me. Now. Every instinct screamed at me to follow her, to understand the reality behind those frantic words. I looked at my brother, caught between confusion and loyalty. Should we? I asked, not sure myself if I was ready for the truth that hung in the air like a brewing tempest. Yes. Clara urged, a frantic desperation pulsing in her tone. He needs you, and we need to get there before it's too late. A flicker of doubt ignited within me. My heart raced. Was it too late? What had I missed? Everyone in the room felt like a witness to an unfolding tragedy, each face reflecting a mix of anticipation, horror, and uncertainty. Come on, let us go. Caleb insisted, grabbing my arm. The warmth of his touch felt like a lifeline, but it also sent waves of panic crashing over my carefully constructed walls. I didn't know if facing the truth would liberate me or ensnare me deeper in the web of my family's secrets. Aunt Clara led the way, her back straight and determined as she squeezed through the crowd. I found myself following, caught between fear of the unknown and a compulsion to protect what little I had left of my relationships. Each step felt heavy, like I was trudging through quicksand. The crowd parted reluctantly, whispers trailing behind us like the echo of a haunting melody. Is it really that bad? One voice floated past, laced with disbelief. What could have possibly happened out there? Another asked, curiosity mixing with dread. My heart raced as we reached the door, the night air clashing against the warmth we'd left behind. I blinked hard, the darkness beyond the threshold swallowing me whole. Oh God, I muttered as I stepped into the night, the cold immediately piercing through my skin. Just hurry. Aunt Clara snapped, her urgency driving us forward. She turned, her eyes wild. Jason's been in an accident and you're not going to believe what led to it. An icy chill washed over me as we sprinted toward the parked cars, each shadow morphing into something sinister. My thoughts spiraled. How could this happen? What would I find at the scene? The car's engine roared to life beneath my brother's trembling hands, echoing the turmoil within me. It was as if we were driving toward a cliff, teetering on the edge. What do you mean by not going to believe? I demanded, something primal clawing at me for answers. The throbbing beats of fear and suspicion drummed in sync with my heartbeat. Just wait, Clara whispered, her expression clouded by a whirlwind of secrets. You'll understand soon enough. As we sped into the deepening night, I knew with every passing moment, the truth was about to unravel, and when it did, would it tear me apart or set me free? The headlights danced across the pavement, but the shadows lurking at the edges of my consciousness grew darker. What awaited us on the other side of this desperate race? What truths would be laid bare under the cold, stark light of reality? And why did it feel like every secret in my life was barreling toward a bitter confrontation? The tires screeched as Caleb accelerated down the road, the night swallowing us whole. I gripped the seat, my knuckles white. Anxiety knotted in my stomach. What the hell happened to Jason? I pressed, desperation pooling in my voice. Aunt Clara stared out the window, as if the answers lay hidden in the shadows beyond. He found something he shouldn't have. Her gaze flickered back to me, raw panic etched in her features. And now people are after him. I felt the air leave my lungs. People? What do you mean after him? Anxiety curdled into dread, churning like a storm inside me. It was one thing to worry about an accident, another to think about dangerous people. Just trust me. Aunt Clara's tone sharpened, pinning me against my seat. We need to hurry. He's scared. He's in hiding. Have you talked to him? Does he know we're coming? I shot back, a flood of helplessness widening the chasm in my chest. I needed more answers. Not recently, Clara admitted, her voice dropping to a shaky whisper. He went dark after he found it, and I've been terrified ever since. What did he find? I pressed, but Aunt Clara shook her head, her eyes darting nervously around the car as if danger lurked in the dark corners. With each passing moment, the atmosphere thickened, a suffocating weight pressing down on my thoughts. What could he have possibly stumbled upon? I thought, pulses of fear hammering against my temples. Caleb suddenly swerved, the headlights catching a glimpse of something in the distance. I squinted, my heart racing. Was it a figure? My mind reeled with possibilities. What if it's Jason? I whispered, hope laced with fear. Caleb, slow down. Aunt Clara shouted, panic igniting on her face. But it was too late. The figure jumped into the road, and Caleb barely swerved to avoid hitting him. Tires screeched, the car jolting violently. I gasped, the sound piercing the night air. Shit. Caleb muttered, panic now evident in his voice. What was that? We stumbled to a halt, the engine humming as our breaths came in rapid gasps. I leaned forward, straining to see through the darkness. Did you see who it was? I couldn't tell, he replied, wide-eyed. But it looked like before he could finish, the figure stumbled towards us, illuminated under the harsh glare of our headlights. My heart dropped as recognition washed over me. Jason! I shouted, leaping out of the car before I even realized it. He was disheveled, his clothes torn and smeared with dirt. Fear and confusion etched deep into his features. Get back in the car! He shouted, his voice hoarse and frantic. They're coming! Who's coming? I asked, trembling. But before he could answer, a vehicle's headlights appeared in the distance, piercing the night, racing dangerously close. Get in! Hurry! Jason yelled, glancing over his shoulder like a hunted animal. Caleb and I jumped back into the car as Jason dove in just behind us, slamming the door. Drive! Drive now! He screamed, his eyes wild. Caleb floored the accelerator, and we shot down the road, adrenaline pumping through my veins. I glanced in the rearview mirror just in time to see the car dark and ominous speeding after us. Panic clawed at me, my heart pounding like a war drum. What is happening, Jason? I demanded, trying to make sense of our descent into chaos. His breathing was ragged, each inhale a reminder of the gravity of our situation. I'll explain, just hold on tight. The road blurred by, but terror held me captive. What had Jason unearthed? What had he drawn so dangerously close to? In that moment, I understood that this was only the beginning of a nightmare, a battle to unravel the truth. Each twist of fate may be leading to salvation or destruction, and I realized, those light-hearted family secrets were far more sinister than I ever imagined. As the car sped into the suffocating darkness, I wondered what had I truly been blind to all this time. And how far would I be willing to go to protect my family from its own ghosts? The car raced through the night like a bullet, chaos whirling around us as Jason gasped for breath beside me. The urgency in his voice drilled through the noise, rattling my already anxious insides. I didn't mean for this to happen, he stuttered, his wide eyes flitting between us and the road. I found out too much and they won't stop coming until they get what they want. What did you find? I pressed, wanting to peel back the layers of this nightmare. Clarity was a fleeting shadow, slipping just out of reach. Evidence, he spat, each word laced with desperation. Something buried deep in the family history, something that shouldn't have seen the light of day. The road blurred as Caleb swerved to avoid a pothole, sweat glistening on his forehead under the center light. Can't think about that now. We need a plan. His voice crackled with fear, urgency crackling in the air. A mix of dread and anticipation filled the car. Every second stretched like a tightrope. With dark silhouettes looming in the distance, their headlights swallowed us up, a menacing predator stalking its prey. The secret, Jason said, his voice low, almost a whisper, is about our parents. It's about the life they built. It wasn't what we were told. The crushing weight of his words slammed into me. For years, our family had been shrouded in laughter and benign banter, yet beneath it all, Jason had unearthed something dark and twisted, a truth buried under the weight of secrecy. But before I could respond, Caleb hit the brakes. The tire screeched, sending us hurtling into a bewildered spin. The rearview mirror reflected a menacing car, headlights blazing like torches in the night. They're right behind us, he shouted, his pulse thunderous in his ears. Go. 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 Jason screamed, his composure crumbling. I could feel the panic rising, tears prickling the back of my eyes as adrenaline surged. We were trapped in a living nightmare, raw emotions spilling over in the face of danger. We need to get to the old barn, Jason finally blurted out. It's hidden. They won't look for us there. Caleb nodded. Hold on. He pressed down, hurtling forward again, determined to evade whatever horrors haunted us. As we sped towards the abandoned barn, adrenaline surged through my veins. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage as if it was trying to break free. The landscape blurred past trees and shadows, melding into an eerie tunnel of darkness. Finally, we reached the barn. It loomed before us like a relic from another time, shadowy and dilapidated, yet sheltering a fragile hope. Scrambling out of the car, we hurried inside, Jason leading the way. The dim light filtering through broken boards revealed dusty remnants of forgotten times. Help me move this, Jason urged, his voice a command. We shoved aside decrepit crates, revealing a trapdoor leading down into darkness. What's down there? I asked, fear creeping in. Everything, Jason replied somberly, lifting the creaky door. We need to see what our family was hiding. This is it. Caleb and I exchanged wary glances. There was no turning back now. With trembling hands, we descended into the cavernous unknown. The air turned stale, heavy with secrets waiting to be unveiled. Flickering light from Jason's phone illuminated walls covered in faded photographs and yellowed newspaper clippings. Whispers of what once was .an article caught my eye, headlines about underground dealings, whispers of corruption circling my parents' names. What is this? I murmured, aghast. We weren't the perfect family, Jason began, his voice echoing in the silence. Mom and Dad were involved in a lot of shady stuff, but they buried it deep, too deep. Why would they keep this from us? I demanded, my chest tightening. What else were they hiding? That's the question, Jason replied quietly. And with what I've found, if we don't figure this out, it'll only put us in danger. Suddenly, the sound of a car engine roared outside. No. My heart stopped as I realized they had followed us. We need to hurry, I exclaimed, panic rising as my mind raced. Could I face whatever truth awaited us? In a moment of unity, we huddled closer together under the weight of our family's secrets. Shadows danced around us, but together we could find a way through this storm. I took a deep breath. All or nothing, right? I said, feeling the strength building, the fire kindling inside of me. Jason nodded, his determination sparking in the dim light. Exactly, no more running. We stand and face whatever comes. As the footsteps approached, I stole a glance at the trapdoor, knowing the confrontation above wouldn't be easy. But I also understood I could no longer be invisible. My voice emerged, steady and strong, no longer a whisper. I refuse to let our family history erase me. Whatever it takes, we'll confront this together. With hearts pounding and souls laid bare, we prepared ourselves. The storm raged outside, but within us, a quiet revolution sparked, ready to face our family's past and whatever terrifying revelations lay ahead. This was the moment we had all been waiting for. As the door creaked open, darkness spilled in, and I knew our fight for truth was just beginning. Now it's time to support the channel like never before. If you want to see more exclusive stories just like this, you need to subscribe immediately. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, feelings, and theories about what just happened, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything. Let us dive into the next chapter together and uncover the secrets waiting to be told.